This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1236, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, it's Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, our managing editor, downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
And the other guys are on airplanes right now, separate ones, but so.
Where are they headed?
We don't know. All we know is that they're traveling. Yeah.
Parts unknown.
It's a weird thing in the group chat where it's like when somebody says like, oh, like last night, we recorded this on Friday. Last night, the Drake album came out and Marty sent a link over and Derek says, oh, I'll listen to it on the plane tomorrow. And that was the first I knew that he was going to be traveling today.
Yeah.
And so like, is he not telling us where he's going? Like, I don't want to be like nosy, you know, like, but you would think if you're in the group chat, you've got a trip, whether it's business or pleasure, you would be like, hey, well, I'm going to Phoenix tomorrow or whatever, you know, but like he's being coy about it. So I didn't ask. So I don't know where he is.
Okay. See, I think he was saying that to open up discussion, though. Like you could have been like, oh, where are you going? Like that is a natural
question. It feels nosy.
Yeah,
I feel like
you're
if
in
you
a
don't
group chat
offer
with
it,
this man, you talk all day, every day. You're allowed to be nosy.
I do feel like he was teeing you up to, you know, because now in his mind, he's like, man, those guys are showing no interest in this fascinating trip. But he didn't want to be, braggy. He's probably doing something awesome and is sitting there on a plane wondering why some of his closest friends didn't even inquire about this day of travel, which he clearly told you he was going on.
Fine. I'm going to ask him right now.
What if he texts back, none of your beeswax?
Yeah, exactly.
You should have asked me last night. I'm too in my feels right now listening to Drake. That's what he's going to say. It's
like when someone says, you know, I got a big doctor's appointment, you know, that's the one where it's like, are they wanting me to inquire because they might be dealing with like some health thing?
That's what I'm saying.
Or is it like, ooh, I don't even know if I want to go there. I don't know if I want to go down the health, the what if it's something just unpleasant and or embarrassing? You know what I mean?
I just said, Derek, where are you traveling to today? And that just feels invasive to me. So I had to follow it up with a fun trip.
Asking a general personal question is invasive to you guys. This is why there's a male loneliness epidemic. You guys aren't asking your friends questions.
No, it just feels, Derek, where are you traveling to today? Tell me where you're traveling. Well, I followed up. I said, fun trip? Like, I have good intentions here. I'm not being nosy, you know?
But you could have just done 3 airplanes, like emojis, and it'd be like, oh, that's a fun. That implies it's a fun question, you know?
You going to Cabo? Yeah. No.
Yeah, airplane.
My aunt died.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Great. Sorry. Sorry for.
See, you shouldn't have said fun trip, because now if it's not a fun trip, it's like, wow, what a downer. Like you could have just left it at, where are you headed?
Yeah, well, you didn't. Now we've gone there.
Okay. Great. Derek, where are you traveling to today? Fun trip? Yeah, going to a little all-star game poker thing. Prop. I'm going too.
Oh, well, now you got FOMO.
Oh, so now you're sad because you didn't get invited to an all-star poker game.
Me, Prop, and my dog, BJ. And I'm saying, thanks for the invite.
Now I know why you didn't tell me the first time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I shouldn't have asked. Thanks a lot. You guys gave me bad advice. Now I'm
Lesson
ticked.
Learned.
Yeah, now my feelings are hurt. Derek's aunt's alive. What are we doing here?
I said, thanks for the invite. And he did the crying face emoji. Ow, I'm the crying face emoji.
Listen, the only good news out of this is Derek's fictitious aunt is still alive.
Thank God. Praise God. Yeah. So, feel about that.
Okay. It's a little better now. I said, thanks for the invite. He did crying face emoji. And he said he only had limited ticks. And I said, I don't know this man. I said, well, BJ is dead to me. And then he's laughing. Okay, so we're good. It wasn't Derek excluding me. Derek wasn't
saved.
Derek was invited. Derek wasn't the inviter. Got it. Yeah, I'm good now.
Well, still, you could see why he didn't want to.
My God, we've been on a roller coaster of emotions.
But you can see why he didn't want to tell me last night. Oh, by the way, I'm going to an all-star game poker game. Cameron, your 2 biggest things that you love, NBA basketball and poker. and your kid. But I mean, other than your kid, the two biggest things you love.
And your faith.
And Jesus. But the two of the top 5 things you love, I'm going to do, and I'm not taking you, so I'm not going to tell you about it.
Is that in the order, the things you just listed, was that in the order that you want to do?
The order is Jesus, then Cohen, Orlando Magic, friends and family,
gambling.
Friends and family and gambling. That's the order.
Okay,
and it's in a cool city. Biblical. It's in San Francisco, which would be it's wow. Well, I'm bummed for you.
I know.
It's pretty upsetting.
Jesse, speaking of NBA and sinful gambling, I put on my calendar Summer League this year, and come hell or high water, I'm going to drive to Virginia.
Well, dude,
kidnap you and take you to Las Vegas with me. So just be aware.
This is the Cooper Flag year too.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what a Duke nerd I am.
That's what I'm saying.
And they have the best prospect. I don't know when they've had a prospect.
We were there for the Paolo year. We were there for the Grayson Allen year.
Yeah, I know. Two Duke players who are having a nice little NBA career. I mean, one more than the others, but Grayson Allen is still a serviceable 5-6 man.
Absolutely.
I knew that would play out. But no, I've watched more Duke games this year than I have in a long time. Mainly because Cooper Flag is.
Well, you know what? Here's what we do. We go to Summer League. Don't tell our friends, and we just say, "Oh, we're on a plane tomorrow," and then they say, "Oh, where are you going to today?" And then we go, "Oh, Summer League in Vegas." Yeah. Without you, they only had limited tickets.
All my aunts are in perfect health. Okay, they're all in perfect health around the country. All my aunts, and we are going to play poker in Vegas.
Okay, Prop just said, if it makes you feel better, BJ organized a couple's trip with literally all of our friends, and I found out on IG.
You're like, well, how does that make me feel better?
That does make me feel better. BJ is a bad person. That's what I wrote back.
Yeah,
is apparently a bad person. Good thing I don't know him.
Or follow him on IG.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's not listening to this podcast right now?
BJ's listening right now. Just going,
what the heck, man?
What the heck?
No, you're never getting invited.
He's going to rescind Derek and Prop's passes to the poker tournament.
Oh, man. Oh, well, we have a great show in store for you. Jonathan Pokluda joins us. I wonder what he thinks about basketball and poker and excluding friends to things.
Yeah. That's actually all we talked about. It's crazy how you knew that.
Good.
Jonathan, I'm going to give you just a random hypothetical. Okay, let's say it is a Friday afternoon. You're about to record a podcast, and it comes to your attention that two of your close friends are traveling. You don't know where they're going. You're like, this sounds oddly specific for. Just listen to me, Jonathan. Paint a picture.
JP, just follow with me here.
All right. Well, that's coming up. We also have your feedback at the end of the show. But stay tuned right now after this break. It's Slices.
You see, the reason I didn't ask him is because I assume there's a death in the family that I didn't want to talk to him about. That's the reason.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Mercy Ships. Globally, 5 billion people lack access to surgical care. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. Mercy Ships provides free, life-transforming surgeries for people who have little to no access to medical care. They help the blind see, straighten twisted limbs, remove deadly tumors, treat cleft conditions, and so much more. With state-of-the-art hospital ships, they provide safe surgery to children and adults living with treatable conditions, and it's completely free of charge. They do all this work with an all-volunteer crew of professionals who donate their time and talents. Surgeons, stewards, nurses, engineers, and more make the world a better place. Your donation today provides free, safe surgeries to people in desperate need of help. All gifts are matched, so please donate today at mercyships.org/relevant. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Tim Tebow's book, Look Again. Have you ever wondered what would change if you truly believed you were infinitely valuable to God? In his New York Times bestselling book, Look Again, Tim Tebow reveals the powerful truth that when we learn to see the image of God in every person, including those we struggle to love, everything changes. Tebow shares incredible stories from his work with people the world often overlooks, and it will challenge you to stand up to the lies, rediscover the worth that everyone has, and impact the world for good. Find Look Again by Tim Tebow
Available now wherever books are sold.
Okay, it's time for
Slices.
What do you have, Jesse?
Well, the NASA fun police are at it again. I'm sure you guys heard about this one. You know my thoughts on space stuff in general. It's not so much. I'm kind of coming around on space, you know, but it's the space programs that really have gotten under my skin ever since our trip to space camp, where we had to simulate. It's way too much discipline involved. The jumpsuits are ill-fitting. There's too many checks. Every time they tell you to do something, check, baked, or they keep asking all these questions. You're like, dude, I got it. Okay. It's like, okay, you told me exactly what button to hit, and I hit it.
Things have exploded. They have to double check now. They're like, yeah, but
Ludacris went to space in a car, so it can't be that difficult,
Exactly. It's all I'm saying is NASA's not known for their fun. Okay, they're known for tamping down on fun. I'm surprised they let them bring those golf clubs up to the moon. To be frank with you, I think they snuck them up there because there's no way that was authorized in the payload. We've seen the pictures of them teeing a couple off. NASA's way too anti-fun to allow astronauts to bring their Titleist up on the Apollo mission. They snuck those bad boys in, and then next thing you know, we got some iconic. Those are real, right? Of astronauts hitting golf balls on the moon. I would assume they were. I really researched it.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there's a movie on Apple right now with Channing Tatum or John Cena. I get them mixed up. It's
Channing
one of them.
Tatum.
Yeah. That
Scarlett
one.
Johansson.
And Scarlett Johansson. Jesse, you would like it. It's a movie
about staging the moon landing, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all about some of those things. It does fictionally portray a plausible scenario where both and might have happened. There might have been a soundstage and we actually did make the moon. Basically, the scenario is the American people couldn't handle if we failed. So we need to have a top secret plan B for the video feed, like in case, not necessarily if there's a catastrophe, but like what if the TV feed breaks or it's too big of a moment. So we need to have a backup. It's basically having a soundtrack for a live singer kind of a thing. And if we need it, we'll cut to it. And if we don't, great. And so in that scenario, they never needed to cut to it, but did it exist? Is there possibly a photo from it with the weird shadows? Sure. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, that's interesting. That's actually a plausible scenario.
I was just saying, I don't know if those pictures of them hitting golf balls on the moon, I've never really, is that like a funny pop culture thing, or do they really do that? I'm not like a moon truther, and like I think we really went to the moon, but I do think it is a relatively plausible scenario of what you're saying. Yeah. And one of my favorite pop culture conspiracies, and if anyone's interested in a documentary, an element of the documentary is there's a film called Room 237, which they interview several Stanley Kubrick critics who, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Stanley Kubrick catalog, but he seems to have a lot of strange symbolism that's never really explained. And there's a theory that his adaptation of The Shining, which is a Stephen King novel, but he basically, the movie's nothing like the novel. And there's all these weird symbols, like the kid in the scene with the carpet. Yeah, have you guys ever seen The Shining?
Nope, don't watch horror movies.
Yes,
well, there's a scene where a kid in a sweater is playing with trucks, and he's moving them in a carpet pattern, and the pattern of the carpet actually matches like a launch center from NASA. And when the kid stands up, like there's a rocket on his sweater that appears to be launching. There's all this like government symbol. The theory is that Kubrick was using The Shining and the person slowly going insane from working on something as a confession that NASA, the space program, hired him to stage the moon landing film. And he could never tell anyone, but he used The Shining to basically encode a confession to taking part in the plot.
That's also explained in this movie, FYI.
Oh, is it really? Mm-hmm. The Kubrick thing?
Uh-huh. Like that they I gave away too much anyway. It's still an enjoyable movie. Yeah. Go watch it.
It's on great. Apple, so most people won't see it. So go ahead.
Speaking of, and I don't, we've completely derailed your slice, but Emily, this is for you, not for Jesse, because he doesn't like space. But I was going through my Apple TV Plus shows because I was like, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So I'm kind of going, we're kind of batting 1,000 here. Let me try one I haven't seen so far. And it was a show called that they've done is 4 seasons. It was kind of one of their first prestige shows. It's called For All Mankind, and it's the scenario. And I remembered watching the first episode years ago, and it didn't grab me, but I decided to push through it. Basically, the scenario is this. It starts with, like, this is real NASA. This is the real space race from the 60s. They have real footage, all this kind of stuff. But in this scenario, Russia got there first. So when everybody's watching the news broadcasts of man landing on the moon, they're putting the Russian flag on, and you're like, oh my goodness. And so what the show explores is the butterfly effect. If that one thing had happened, if we lost the moon race, what then happens to the space race, to the Cold War, to society? And it is such a fascinating thing because it like then overlays real stuff like the feminist rights movement and in the early 70s and Vietnam. But little things are different throughout history. But like the trickle effect is so interesting where they end up taking it. What happens to NASA? Because, we go to the moon several times and Russia kind of lost interest and then we stopped, right? Well, in this scenario, we keep one-upping each other. What's next? A lunar base. What's next? Then, the Cold War is escalating and escalating and escalating throughout the 80s instead of diminishing throughout the 80s. It is fascinating. And you like space, Emily, so you'll find it interesting. But because of the Equal Rights Amendment getting passed, the president at the time, which was Nixon, they ratified the ERA. And so to make a statement, they made a big push for female astronauts to join NASA. And so there's a lot of like strong female characters that are instrumental in the NASA story as it plays out. It's really interesting. It's a really fascinating thing. But like just to see the butterfly effect of like, well, because of this scenario, Reagan runs in 76 and Carter never becomes president. He just stays a senator from Georgia. Yeah. So now Reagan's span is maybe 76 to 84. Well, then who becomes president in 84? So history changes. And but they keep going. Like every season, like jumps ahead several years and you see kind of how society has been affected. Fascinating show and incredibly well done because it's on Apple. Of course it is, but it's great. You should watch it.
Well, there's the Man from Hightower is a similar alternative history sort of premise, except that it's not one small thing. It's what if the Axis had won, not the Allies, had won World War II, and fascism ended up sweeping the world.
Like now.
And, yeah. Well, and much more.
So we closed the loop on the timeline right there.
Yeah.
Either way, I do agree. Like the alternative history stuff is fun.
It's fascinating.
Speaking of alternative history, because we might be able to circle back to the. I'm going to try to thread a needle here.
Best of luck.
Okay, so a few weeks ago, an image started making the rounds on social media. And it came from the Mars Global Surveyor program, and it's Mars Orbiter camera. And it was actually snapped back in 2001. So it was a spacecraft that NASA launched back in 1996 that for about a 10-year period was circling Mars and taking pictures. Okay. The NASA now has those pictures. You can go look at them on their site. And somebody, kind of just was one of those organic things, was going through and noticed what appeared to be an unexplained formation. Did you guys see this, by the way?
Oh, the square?
The square. Yeah. It appears to be just below sort of the rocky surface, the outline of pretty much a perfect square, like 4 right angles connected, right? Mm-hmm. Now, immediately, people started enhancing the image, and so some of the images making the rounds were more dramatic than others. But the one that is that is undoctored, that is from the Mars Global Surveyor, does look pretty like a big square right under the sand. And they said this thing could be kilometers big. Like they don't know exactly how big it is because it's difficult to assess scale with these. but it looks pretty. I mean, Cameron, don't you think it looks like a square?
It looks like at the end of Planet of the Apes, where like just the hand of the Statue of Liberty is peeking out from the ground. You know, like it looks like a skyscraper got completely buried. And this is just the roof of it poking out of the lunar or the Mars surface. It's crazy looking.
Yeah. So NASA, a spokesperson, old Andrew Good, I
can tell by your tone he's a party pooper.
Yeah. He went and released another image of the same area that was snapped in 2018 at a different angle. And it's not as dramatic. Now, personally, I still think the one he shared looks like a square. It does not look as eye-popping as the other one, right? And here's the quote he released with it. Look at the quote-unquote corner that is really a cliffside unrelated to the rest of the quote square. First off, the little quotes aren't necessary, Andrew Good.
Throw a little shade.
Don't do that, okay?
You don't need passive-aggressive quotes. Passive-aggressive punctuation. We're done with that.
You should be happy someone's going through your nerdy website looking at satellite pictures from 30 years ago. Why don't you just be grateful, okay? That's one. You know what I mean?
This is the first time anybody's known that you do anything in the government. Like, you should be happy you got some attention. Yeah.
Doge, be grateful, Andrew. They're making a lot of cuts, and I hope the best for you. But let's watch your tone here. Every position's being analyzed right now.
We don't want any passive aggressive punctuation in our government.
Yeah. Well, considering, well, and not to get political, but Elon Musk actually said, hey, we should go and send some people up there to investigate that. And he was saying it non-ironically because...
because he wants a big contract for a Mars mission. That's what he wants.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't... So, Andrew, you might be talking to your new boss here. So, let's... I'm not worried about all of us nerds on Twitter that you're hurting our feelings with your passive aggressive quotes on corner and square. Okay. I'm just telling you, Elon Musk and a bunch of 20-year-olds are going to start looking at the space program pretty soon.
They want people who are on board with the Mars stuff, not people who are throwing shade through quote marks.
Yeah. Either way, NASA is claiming that it's a natural formation and are reiterating that there is no evidence of anything that is a non-natural formation on the surface of Mars. So if you've seen the square, know that NASA has released their official position, and there's nothing to see here.
Yeah, the government has never covered up anything ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing to see here.
It would have just been better for them not to address it and just let us have our fun. And they wouldn't have to say, hey, we think it's, wow, how do we miss that? How do we miss the foundation to some giant formation? They could have just said, cool, we'll check it out next time we're up there. Or, we're buzzing around. Take a closer look.
Yeah.
That's all they could have said. Because like I said, the image, the 2018 image, I still see a square. It's from a different angle. But either way, it really, it was something cool. I feel like we could all get behind. These are divisive times. No one thinks a giant square on Mars isn't cool, right? No one. It was bringing people together, unifying in divisive times. And NASA had to go and rain on everyone's parade.
That's what they do.
I don't care what I don't care what your thoughts are on political and social and religious issues. Big square on Mars, guys. That's pretty cool. Big old square up there. What's it doing? What? That was one thing to get excited about right now, okay?
Yep.
It's like when Michael Scott, hold on. It's like when Michael Scott thought he saw Johnny Depp in his condo complex and he called Jim into the office. Okay, you guys remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He shows a Polaroid.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Do you see who this is?" And Michael is convinced that he snapped a photo in his condo complex of Johnny Depp. And Jim, of course, is snarky and says, "Yeah, I heard he's looking for a 2-bedroom in Scranton. That makes a lot of sense, Michael." And Michael's like, "You know what, Jim? It's not easy to get excited about things in life. In this scenario, we're all the Michael Scott, okay? Yeah. Going throughout our day, it's not easy. All of a sudden, a square on Mars pops up, and we bring Jim in, NASA, and they make fun of us."
I know Jim and Pam are beloved, and I've probably watched more of The Office than any human in America. Honestly, it's a problem. It's on my TV probably every day. Background noise. It's just always on. It's like my go-to. The more you watch it, and I know this isn't a new take, but the more you watch it, the more you really do start to realize how bad of a person Jim is. He's a bully. He's a bad employee. He's unmotivated. He's snide. He's not a good person. And frankly, if you look at it, Pam ain't that great either. Like, how did America miss this for like 10 years? I don't get it. Like, they're not good people, especially Jim. Jim's awful.
I think part of it is just like, I don't think they've aged as well as maybe some other things. Cause it's like, I don't think they're not awful people, but there are just things about them that you're like, why did everyone want to be them? Like they're not as perfect as we thought they were.
Jim really is like an incredibly mediocre employee. He's got a bad attitude. He literally bullies the guy who shares a desk clump with. Yeah. I mean, like, he's awful to Dwight. And now Dwight, sure, he's annoying. Yes.
He actively pursues another man's fiance.
Yeah. But he's abusive to Dwight. I mean, it's like he's not a good person. Anyway,
Dwight was justified to have a box full of HR complaints against Jim.
Yeah, totally
100%.
was. He totally was. The only person to see through it was that guy who had a brief cameo in the episode where they're looking for a preschool, and Jim walked in on the bathroom.
Yeah.
And when Jim and Pam, he was basically denying them a spot at this preschool.
Yeah.
And
so maybe you're not as charming as you think you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is why I like the last season. I know like everyone hates the last season, but I kind of like that Jim and Pam have like some drama over like Jim's impulsiveness to just like start a new company.
Selfishness.
Yes. And it's like, I've seen this all along for 9 seasons. Like, this is not a random character decision. This is exactly who he's always been.
Are you hearing this, NASA? Andrew Good? Because we're comparing you to Jim. Okay, I just want to make clear.
Thing you can be compared to in 2025.
NASA, you're the Jim of the government. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone was charmed by you for a while. Now we're seeing through.
That is it. That's really it. It's the same trajectory. Our eyes have been opened. You can't unsee it. Once you realize Jim is a bad person, you go back, you just don't watch the show the same. You just don't.
We were charmed by your hijinks in the early days when you're riding dune buggies around mountains on Moon.
Hitting golf balls.
We loved it. It was great. Okay. We saw through. We see what you're up to. You need to put stuff in air quotes. All right. We see. I know what I see. Okay. There are corners. It is a square. Okay, Andrew.
Maybe you're not as charming as you think you are, NASA. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. What do you have, Emily?
Okay, kind of continuing on just the science talk, I guess, that we're on.
One more. We all loved the space food. We all loved it. It was the best part of going to the Smithsonian. Getting some space food on the gift shop on the way out. We see through it. The charm has worn off. Continue, Emily.
You went to the Smithsonian. Those of us who didn't live in the region, we would go to their local science center. We still looked forward to the freeze-dried ice cream and astronaut food in the gift shop. Yeah. It was the highlight charming. Of the school year. Yeah.
Very charming. Those were the glory days. Now we see through. Go ahead, Emily.
You guys are getting freeze-dried ice cream? I remember being thrilled at like a Cece's pizza party.
No. At the gift shop, you would get the astronaut food at the end of the science center or the Smithsonian. They had astronaut food.
We didn't really go to science museums.
In Texas, yeah. That's the big scary science.
Yeah, that wasn't really on the curriculum.
Y'all went to Cece's Pizza for your field trips?
We're in a big science state.
Yeah.
we like our Cece's Pizza. Well, that was the cultural immersion for the Italian culture. They were teaching you.
We did go to like a wildlife center that our school district owned. But my class, we were one of the last ones to go because someone got hit by a buffalo while we were on the trip. So
when you say chaperones, you told me this.
Yes,
right?
But when you say a wildlife center, it's like these animals will be eaten, by the way. This isn't some sanctuary. These are food.
No, it was a free-range buffalo sanctuary.
Well, no, it was just like there wasn't actually supposed to be any animals, but there was a buffalo farm. I don't know what the term is next door.
Ranch.
Thank you. And the fence broke. And so like we're sitting down on the ground and this guy's like telling us, I don't know, about the trees or something. I obviously was not paying attention.
You were just thinking about that. Cece's coming up next. You're like,
I probably was thinking about like, man, I can't wait for lunch. And then all of a sudden the guy's voice kind of changes. He goes, okay, guys, one by one, we're going to get up and go back to the main cabin because there is a buffalo coming towards us right now. And so we like, I'm in, I think maybe 4th grade. And so we're all lining up to walk back. And my mom was a chaperone. And then my best friend's mom was a chaperone. My best friend's mom turned around to take a picture and the buffalo charged at her. She's fine.
Well, I got to say, the 1-by-1 strategy, that doesn't seem advisable. You know, I think
no, it does, because if he's gonna get, you're only gonna pick off 1 or 2 of the kids. You know, if you go 1-by-1,
you can pick. No, you go herd and just everyone sprint different directions. That way only one gets picked off. You go 1-by-1, he can probably get 3 or 4. You know,
he can go down the line of them. Yeah, that's true. If they're all going the same direction. Yeah, you're right.
Everybody freak out and go!
It's like dominoes. It's like a line of dominoes. Just he can take them all out.
Yeah. Well, he only got 1 mom. She was fine. But it was really scary because my mom was with her, like waiting for the ambulance to come. And so me and my friend, we're the only ones at the cabin being like, where the heck are our moms? Like all we know is that there's a buffalo outside and our moms are missing.
Oh, wait. So the kids all go in. The chaperones are still milling around with the buffalo.
No. Then, pretty much everyone else was in, but my mom and this woman, like they were the last ones to come in.
They were bringing up the rear.
They were at the end, yeah. And like this mom turned around to take a picture and the buffalo like rammed her. My mom swears the sunglasses like flew off her head and landed on the buffalo's head. I don't know if that's true, but anyways, my mom's
I'm starting to doubt a lot of things in this story.
My mom's like waiting outside for the ambulance to come with this woman because she obviously got hit by a freaking buffalo, so she has to go to the hospital.
Also, I do want to point out about your stories, Emily, because we talk a lot throughout the day, and you shared a story with me this morning about your family. And that same story happened when I was in 4th grade. This story happened when you were in 4th grade.
4th grade was a pretty traumatic year.
I was going to say, I have heard so many stories of yours that are like crazy. And they're all like, I don't know, it's like in 4th grade when this happened. And I'm like, what happened that year?
I got to be honest, I don't even know if I remember one thing from 4th grade. I don't remember who my teachers was. I remember nothing from 4th grade, much less any story.
I remember 2 things about 4th grade. One was I was into space stuff, and that was the year the shuttle exploded. And I've told the story that I thought I was going to go blind. I was at the eye doctor. They had dilated my pupils. They put 2 eye patches on my eye. They told me to sit in the lobby for 20 minutes and then they were going to do some test on me. And I'm sitting there with the 2 eye patches. And because I'm a little kid, they're like, do not pick at these. Do not let light in. It is very important. And so I'm sitting there in the lobby with 2 eye patches on and everybody's like, oh, the shuttle's about to launch. And so it's Central Florida. We can see the shuttle. So everybody like goes outside because it was the big Challenger, the teacher, the whole thing. So everybody goes outside. My mom goes outside. She takes me out there with her and everybody's just standing there watching. And then I hear a scream and everybody starts screaming like, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I have to see what happened to the Challenger, but it may be the last thing I ever see. And so I made the conscious decision to peek with one eye because if I lost one eye, I could have the other eye. And so I opened it and saw the smoke in the air. And that's 4th grade. That was my 4th grade. So there you go.
Here's another curious thing about that story. 2 eye patches? Why not just 1 blindfold? Like the 2 eye patches gotta...
It was like gauze. They taped like gauze on me. It wasn't patches. It was like they taped it on.
I was picturing like 2 separate pirate style.
It was literally like it was medical gauze, medical tape.
I'm pretty sure a single blindfold would have sufficed.
It was the 80s. They just taped stuff on the kids' faces back then. I don't know. So anyway, all right, Emily, your slice.
Okay, moving back to my slice. Basically, what I want to talk about is that there was some news that came out this week that I don't think anyone's talking about, and I feel like we should talk about it. And it kind of makes me annoyed that we're not talking about it. Basically, a team of scientists had a really big, massive breakthrough in teleportation this week.
I saw that.
What?
Yeah. So this like team of scientists in Oxford, they were able to successfully teleport logical gates, which are these like basic components for a computer algorithm, between 2 quantum processors that were like over 6 feet apart.
I think it's cool, but here's my problem with it. Tell me when it's like a penny or something, right? Like It's like when you hear about quantum computers or whatever, and it's like, oh, it's qubits. It's ones and zeros at the same time. Okay, great. That's cool. Tell me when it's something physical, not like on the quantum level here, Like,
yeah, I don't even understand what quantum level means. Like what happened? Like you lost me kind of. So it wasn't that a physical object went in between two things. It was like Star Trek. It wasn't like it started here and ended up here. It was data. It's like Wi-Fi.
No, it's photons, so it's like light particles.
Oh, okay.
So it like that's the thing. Like it's not a penny, it's not physical yet, but this is like a big breakthrough because it's like they've figured out how to transport things across distances at this point, and so it's like the next logical step is okay, let's figure out how to do that with other objects.
This feels like along the level of like Tesla, not the company, the actual guy, discovered that like electricity can be like moved through air, right? Like and like his experimentation, like he proved it. Like we could charge things not just wirelessly, but I don't understand like why all that got shut down and we had to do it through wires. But it's something like that. Like there is a realm of things that we don't know about that can move around in the air probably.
Well, essentially, like it's the idea that there's been other experiments that can confirm the concept of spatial non-locality, right? Like something like space, the distance between two objects is sort of a construct in that, like, if you look at the idea of like entanglement, right? If two particles are entangled together, one can move and the other one will react no matter how far away they are. So the idea of space, right, distance, you can prove is sort of a construct in a way, right? They've also proven, and so it's sort of the same idea with teleportation. It exists in one place and then in another, but actually is there that's just our perception. You know what I mean? Distance is to a degree a perception. The same thing that they've proven on a quantum level of temporal non-locality, where things can exist two places in time. They've done experiments on like a particle level that you can an action can change a particle in the future and in the past. It's crazy stuff when you get down to the quantum level. But because these experiments don't involve like obviously like physical things at this thing, it's just really hard to conceptualize,
But it is the first step toward.
Yes, that's
correct.
That's my thing is like everyone, like all the reports I've seen are like, this is like a really, like they figured out this like long, like this puzzle that they've been trying to figure out for years. And they finally figured it out this week. And so it's like, okay, so, I mean, I just think about like how fast AI has moved over the last few years. Like once we figure things out, they move quicker. It's like, okay, so in a few years, am I going to be able to teleport things? Hopefully, yes.
Yeah. Everything that they're doing with, I mean, we could nerd out here for a while, but like with quantum physics, now that we have the instrumentation to measure and the devices to actually manipulate light photons is crazy. Like, are you guys aware of like the double slit experiment?
No.
It's basically an experiment involving shooting light photons through like a screen with two slits in it. Okay. So it'll go through, and there's a screen behind it.
Isn't that a way that they can prove the curvature of the Earth too? Like kind of shooting.
Not too dissimilar, but this is like a very close distance, right?
Yeah.
So like the screen behind the two slits, there will be a pattern based on how the particles of light hit it, right? So like you can tell the way they went in through the slits. Like if there's just like two lines, right? That means they were behaving as we would predict them to go straight through, and we can see it's two line patterns. It actually makes wave patterns, like they're kind of intersecting and bouncing off each other, and so it's like two bright lines that sort of fade out like a wave. We don't really understand why they behave like that, but if you set up any sort of piece of equipment to observe the photons going through the light, the slits, they behave differently. The pattern they leave is two lines. It's called the observer effect. Conscious
shy.
What's that?
They're camera shy.
But the implication is what Schrodinger predicted would happen, like mathematically, that Einstein was freaked out about. That conscious observation changes the behavior of particles. That for mathematically, Edward Schrodinger, like proved this before we could do it in a lab. But that's another just quantum mystery. Why does the act of observing particles change the way they behave? You know,
I've learned more science in the last few minutes than my entire high school, elementary school, middle school education.
But we're kind of made of photons, aren't we? And I know when we're in a social setting, if someone gets a camera out, I act differently. So, maybe.
Yeah.
That's
maybe
my photons doing it,
you know. But think about the implications of that, too. Like the whole universe would then act like a video game where the level or place you're in doesn't render until your character walks there. It only exists in theory. Does that make sense? So if you're playing a video game that has a big map and you go to a certain corner of that map, the map is rendering as your character's walking there. So everything's not rendered. It wouldn't make, you know what I mean? Like it's too much computing power. The implication is that's how God designed the universe, that our observation actually helps creation come into reality. It's wild stuff on the when you start getting down the quantum rabbit hole here. And this isn't like science fiction stuff. This is literally quantum physics. That's why quantum computing works, because ones and zeros can exist together at the same time. They don't, the data isn't, it's rendered, both are co-equal realities. It's not until it has to render that reality actually. It's wild. That's why quantum computing is so fast, because it exists as ones and zeros simultaneously.
Coming up next, Neil deGrasse Tyson joins us. I hear on Science Friday.
No, but that's why Emily Slice. I know I was joking because it's like on the particle level, but it is wild of how our fundamental understanding of reality is being challenged because of breakthroughs in quantum physics.
The whole time you were talking, I was listening, but I was also thinking about how much different my life would be if you had been my AP physics teacher instead of the one I had in high school, because he was the one that taught us about the space conspiracy theories. Like he does not believe that we landed on the moon when we say we did. And that's what I learned in AP physics.
I'm glad he was a high school physics teacher. Either way, there's some wild breakthroughs out there.
Emily's AP physics field trip went to Cece's Pizza. Everybody, Cece's Pizza. That's right.
I'm trying to think if there's any sort of like physics lesson we could learn at Cece's. Maybe how much pizza you can eat. I don't know. Is that physics?
The expansion of the human body. Yeah.
Heat expansion. Yeah. Elasticity. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. That'll do it for Slices.
Not to nerd out, but it is. We are living in really cool, fascinating times. You know.
And NASA's trying to squash it all.
Yeah, exactly.
We were really close to launching a Science and Faith podcast back when we were doing more of this type think pieces in the magazine.
I know.
We had a science foundation reach out to us. They wanted to underwrite it. And then COVID happened and it just didn't move forward. But man, maybe we should. Maybe we should launch a Science and Faith conversation.
Well, you know what's crazy about all of this too, because I think it's easy to like think this is woo. But like I said, this is actually what is being determined by scientists when they look at how quantum physics behaves. But if you even look at like the Christian creation narrative, he saw that it was good. Let there be light. Like the two components of creation were light and observation. When you look at the Genesis narrative, you know,
if NASA tweeted that, they would have put air quotes around light and observation. Just they'd throw a little shade at
Andrew
it.
Good.
Yeah.
You get really personal with this guy, Andrew Good. I'm sure he's delightful. He works at NASA. And
do you think he's a listener?
Sure. He's just seething right now.
All right. That'll do it for Slices. Make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com every day where we are covering stuff like this, actually. Go check it out. Stay tuned. After the break, Jonathan Pokluda joins us.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by John Mark Comer's book, Garden City, a book that speaks to the tension we all feel between work, rest, and purpose. The New York Times bestselling author John Mark Comer takes us to the scriptures to identify what it really means to be human and flips the script on the idea that who you are matters, not what you do. He shows that God created us for meaningful work and meaningful rest. Both matter. This book helps you ask and answer the big questions. Does God care where I work? Is there a direction for my life? So you can discern God's heart for your calling, your rhythms, and the way His Spirit wants to shape every part of your life. If you're longing for purpose and a more grounded way to live, check out the new hardcover edition of Garden City wherever books are sold.
Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, but today an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth: creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com.
Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Erwin McManus's book, The Barbarian Way. Some books don't just inspire you, they confront you. The Barbarian Way, now celebrating its 20th anniversary, is one of those books. If you felt the pull of God towards something deeper and wilder than the safe, predictable version of faith that we settle for, McManus reminds us that following Jesus was never meant to be tame. It's meant to awaken courage, passion, and purpose God placed inside us. He draws from the wild stories of Abel, Noah, Moses, Rahab, and others to remind us that following God wasn't meant to be tame. Safe faith isn't working. Step into the story God is writing for you. Choose passion, choose boldness, choose the Barbarian Way. Available now wherever books are sold.
Well, our guest today is Jonathan Pokluda. He's a pastor and author of several books, including Welcome to Adulting, and his latest, Your Story Has a Villain. We talked to him about that, as well as his work with Unite Us, which you've probably heard about. It's those big gatherings happening on college campuses where thousands of students get saved. It's pretty awesome. Here is our conversation with Jonathan Pokluda.
Well, I know Unite Us just had its first event of the semester. How was it?
It was incredible. So just insane. It was, thousands gave their life to Jesus. It was nuts.
Now, you've been a part of it since the beginning, and it seems like it just keeps growing and growing. What has that been like to witness?
It's just momentum. Yeah, it's just gaining momentum. When I think of growth, I think of numbers, and the numbers have been fairly consistent, except for the last one. Most people came forward, but all of them have been like 5, 6, 7, somewhere between 5 and 10,000 people. And so it's just been crazy.
Well, moving on to why you're here today, you've got a new book out called Your Story Has a Villain. And I think a really good place to start is just at the beginning. What was going on in your life that made you want to write this book?
Yeah, so I was raised Catholic and went to Catholic school for 9 years. And behind the altar, I spent a lot of time in church. So church on Friday, church on Sunday. My mom went to a different church. My parents were still married, and so I went to her church sometimes. Went to Baptist church, lots of church. And behind the altar of St. Michael's Catholic Church, where I grew up, there was this statue of Michael the Archangel stabbing a demon. And so there was, growing up, you see that every week, and you just kind of think, oh, the reality of spiritual warfare, it's real. But I didn't become a Christian. I didn't really understand the grace of the gospel till I was in my early 20s. I was at a club 22 years ago. Someone invited me to church. I went hungover, smelled like smoke from the club, and gave my life to Jesus. That's the short version. And I was discipled there for 5 years, went on staff 5 years later, continued to serve at that church, started teaching at some point, and then 10 years later became the pastor of that church. And I read the Bible and I just see all of these fantastic stories of demonic possession and exorcisms. And I'm like, where does that fit in our theology? The Bible says more about spiritual warfare than it does about marriage. And as I began to wrestle with that, I just spent a 3-year journey trying to, hey, I'm going to learn everything I can about spiritual warfare, because I didn't have the Pentecostal background, like deliverance or exorcisms or even like demon manifestations. That just wasn't a part of my theology. I didn't see that. And I had been to Africa multiple times, Haiti 6 times, the Amazon jungle 3 times. You hear those stories from other people. I just had never seen it firsthand. And so I just started studying it and started preaching sermons on it. And really just basically, if I gave this book a more practical title, it would be like a layman's guide to spiritual warfare, because I just want to put everything the Bible says in about spiritual warfare down, because Christians will say silly things. They'll be like, oh man, my car won't start, hashtag spiritual warfare. And I'm like, well, is that true? Like, and what did a demon do? And how did it fit your battery? Like, how did a demon drain your battery? And did they have to pop your hood and they'd leave your light on or leave your door open? And like, what? And everybody kind of laughs when I say that. And I'm just like, I'm serious. Like, what did they do? Like, let's talk about it. Can we know? And I think Christians have kind of hidden behind, well, we can't actually know. And I'm like, that's not true. The Bible says a lot about it. We can know. We can understand what they can do and what their limits are. So that became this book, Your Story Has a Villain.
What do you think are some of the most common misconceptions people have about spiritual warfare?
C.S. Lewis said there's 2 mistakes we make about the devils. One is to give them too much credit, and the other is to not believe they exist. And I would say in 2025, there is a third mistake we make about the devils, and that is to believe that they exist and that it has zero implications for our lives, for the way we live. As far as biggest misconceptions, there's many. Like, we say Satan's attacking me. Satan's never been anywhere near me. He doesn't know I exist. He's not omnipresent. He's probably somewhere where there's wars and genocide and rulers and kingdoms. And I probably have a snaggletooth demon, attached to me or my family or geography, who has studied, my family line and is just a deceiver who lies and tries to manipulate me. I think, there's lots of things. I think we talk about possession incorrectly. And I say that in all humility, because there's really brilliant people that have studied this much smarter than I. But if I said I possess a cup, like if I say I possess this book right here, I'm holding a book, that means I'm holding on to it. Like, I hold it. It is in my possession. And yet we talk about demonic possession, like if I'm possessed by a demon, that it is inside of me. And so I think that's our best effort to put language around what I would say is demonization is the word really that shows up in the New Testament, to be demonized. And so we say, believer can't be possessed, because if you're filled with the Spirit, you can't be filled with the demon. And I'm like, yeah, I think the filled with the demon is the misunderstanding, potential misnomer of what's happening there. Satan has taken 1/3 of the angelic realm with him. And so 1/3 of demons they're fallen angels, they're created beings. Satan is simply a demon. He may be more beautiful than the other demons, the scriptures tell us, but he's simply a demon. And there's an army of them, and yet they're outnumbered 2-1 by the angelic army. And so we don't need to be afraid, is what I would say. 1 John 4:4, greater is he who is in me than he who is in the world. So we don't need to operate in fear. Satan's not afraid of me. Demons are not afraid of me. Again, when you see angels in the scripture, the next phrase is fear not or get up. These are terrifying beings. They're really strong and big and scary. And they're not afraid of me, but they're terrified of my God. So the solution to spiritual warfare is for me to draw near to Jesus, to stay close to God. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not fear, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And, lastly, I would say, who is the God of this world? As far as a misconception, who is the God of this world? So many Christians are going to say God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, Yahweh, Jehovah, Jesus. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4 says that Satan is the God of this world, lowercase g, God of this world. And so that means he has a lot of authority here. We're kind of part of this cosmic test that he said, hey, I don't want to worship you as God. I want to be God. And God said, all right, I'm going to send you to earth. Let's see what kind of God you can be. And that's where we're at.
Do you have any thoughts on how so many Christians have gotten spiritual warfare wrong?
Yeah, I think we just don't think about it. And I think there's, when we're living a day and age where theology is most instructed to us by TikTok, I think there's a fascination amongst a generation rising on witchcraft and crystals and manifesting. And we're really just running the same test that Satan ran. Is we're hungry, we're power hungry. We're looking to be God, not to worship God as God. And we want to build our own kingdoms. We want to make the world our home. That's never worked out for anybody. Like, everyone dies and they leave this place. And so, Jesus got it right when he said, spend your life loving God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Like, this is the life well lived. Love God, love people. And the reason that so many people have got it wrong is because Satan is the deceiver. His native tongue is lies. He speaks lies. And so he's trying to pull us all off course and distract us from either believing he exists or caring that he exists, all while he manipulates us on the daily.
You mentioned at the beginning that you started this because you wanted to better understand spiritual warfare in your life. And after doing this research and digging into it, how has your life changed?
That's a great question, Emily. You can, if you want to increase your prayer life, you can buy a book on prayer, right? And you're going to learn some things. A Praying Life, Paul Miller, that's a great book. It will help you with praying. If you want to pray more, you read a book on spiritual warfare. Like, I promise you, Your Story Has a Villain is going to increase and improve your prayer life, because the awareness and the sobriety around, we have someone that hates us and they're working against us on the daily. And you start to see everything through that lens. And it's like you are freed up to love people more. It's like, it's not your fault. Like, I've got an enemy that hates me, that's trying to discourage me through you right now. Okay, I can see that. I'm not going to fall for that trick. And so it does just really change the way, it has changed the way I'll say first person. It has changed the way that I've interacted with people. It has changed my prayer life. It has changed the way I've thought about God. I mean, so often I think we blame God for Satan's attacks. And, if you have a high view of God's sovereignty, as I do, it's so easy to say, all right, God, this is your fault that this bad thing happened. But man, we have a villain who's behind everything broken, when God, every good and perfect gift comes from the Father of heavenly lights, James 1 says. And so God gives good gifts to his children, Matthew 7 says, and Satan is trying to steal, kill, and destroy God's children. And so really, so much of the evil that happens in our world, all of the evil that happens in our world is the fault of the fall, which is the fault of Satan, ultimately.
I know for many Christians, talking or even just thinking about spiritual warfare kind of fills them with fear. What would you say to someone who feels that way while listening to this conversation?
Yeah, no, I would just say, as we talk about that, I don't want anyone to be afraid. Greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. It's interesting in Psalm 23 that David changes his pronouns, changes the pronouns for God as he goes, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And then he goes, for even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not fear, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And so in the valley of the shadow of death, the shepherd or the sheep draw near to the shepherd for protection. And that's our best bet, is like, when you're discouraged, don't shake your fist at God. That's what Satan wants you to do. You draw near to God and say, God, I'm discouraged, but I know that you're the one that can encourage me. You're the one that can fill me with your spirit. You're the one that can help me overcome this situation. If dependence is the goal, weakness is my advantage. Your grace is sufficient. Your power is made perfect in my weakness. I'm going to lean into you. I'm going to draw near to you and renew your mind around the gospel. Just remember that God has allowed his son, Jesus Christ, to die for your sins. He's raised him from the dead, and you have the hope of eternal life. You're going to be with God forever and ever and ever. 100 years from now, you're with God. 100,000 years from now, you're still with God. 100 billion years from now, you're with God, if you have trusted in his provision through Jesus. So that's first and foremost, and then walk with him, and the enemy is no match for him. You don't need to be afraid.
That was Jonathan Pokluda. Make sure to check out his latest book, Your Story Has a Villain. It's available now. All right, stay tuned. After this break, it's your feedback. Well, today's podcast is brought to you in part by the new book, Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic. Author Jonathan Seidel knows firsthand how even believers can get stuck in shame and destructive habits, especially when it comes to one of society's biggest obsessions, alcohol. In Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic, he details his spiral into disordered drinking and shares the 4-step process he eventually used to break free. There's hope for alcoholics who become Christians and for Christians who become alcoholics. Find Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic wherever books are sold. What if you could change a child's life with just $10? Right now, thousands of vulnerable children in East Africa are suffering from jiggers. It's a painful, preventable parasite that burrows into their feet. Soul Hope is the only organization treating it through foot washing, medical care, and durable closed-toed shoes that protect kids long after treatment. $10 may not seem like much in today's world, but when we come together, those small gifts add up to big change. Join the 10 for 10 campaign. $10 protects 10 small toes. Visit soulhope.org/10 to give now. One small gift makes a big difference. Again, that's soulhope, SOLE, hope.org/TEN. All right. Well, it was a great conversation with Jonathan Pokluda. I'm thankful that he joined us, but we are continuing our science conversation with feedback. If you remember, if you heard last Tuesday's show, we got talking about flubber. The movie Flubber with Robin Williams from the mid-90s, but also, you know, he was a scientist and he invented Flubber. So there you go. There's your science hook. Anyway, it got us thinking about movies from our childhood that were maybe a big deal in your home that then years later you kind of started to realize maybe other people didn't love them quite as much as you did. You hit us up on X at Relevant Podcast and told us some of the movies that had a big impact on you as a kid, but maybe weren't as widely loved as you thought. Here's our favorites.
I like this from Derek. Wild Wild West. I was convinced this was the coolest movie ever made. Giant robot spiders, Will Smith rapping. What else do you need? Ironically, one of the biggest box office disasters of all time.
Yeah.
But in Derek's mind,
West.
Great.
Wild Wild West.
I actually haven't seen it. Is it worth the watch?
No.
It wasn't worth the watch then. Do you think it held up 25 years later?
I like this one from Riley who said Sky High was/is my Avengers. Did you guys ever see Sky High? Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay, I think that came out when I was like in maybe elementary school, middle school, but
fourth grade. When you're about fourth grade,
probably in fourth grade. Yeah. Listen, I only remember the traumatic years of my life. A therapist can unpack that. So whatever. Sky High was about high school superheroes, but they were split up into superheroes and sidekicks. And the plot of the movie is like the sidekicks were actually the real superheroes.
Oh my gosh.
Kurt Russell was in it. Honestly, it was a great movie. And supposedly they're working on a sequel, 20 years later. I'll be in theaters for it.
Well, Mitch Not Rich says, Home on the Range. I genuinely believe this was a Disney classic. I brought it up in a conversation once, and someone asked if I made it up. Mitch, I'm going to ask, are you making this up? Because I've never heard of this film either.
I've never heard of it either.
Less believe
it's one about like farm animals. It did not do well.
Kelsey Marie 89, she said, I thought everyone agreed a Goofy movie was a classic. Apparently some people weren't emotionally wrecked by a father-son road trip and the power of 90s R&B. Kelsey, I'm with you. That was a fantastic movie.
It was.
Totally holds up. My kid loves that movie. He has a t-shirt of a Goofy movie. I mean, like literally, it is a great movie. You're right. Everybody else is wrong, Kelsey. Yeah.
Agreed. Meet the Robinsons. I quote, keep moving forward like it's scripture. No one else seems to remember this movie exists. Once again, I do not know what this movie is, much less this random quote that you keep saying.
I remember Meet the Robinsons. It was animated.
Yeah,
It was like a futuristic animated movie. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a dinosaur with all I remember is there was a dinosaur with little baby T-Rex arms. And that was like the funniest thing to my fourth grade self, I'm sure.
Fourth grade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I like Chelsea's The Emperor's New Groove. I lived under the assumption this was a Disney essential. When I met people who don't quote it daily, I realized I needed new friends. Again, I'm aware that this film existed. I don't know. I've never seen it. I don't know anyone who's ever referenced it in conversation.
Okay, it's actually a pretty good one.
I dated a girl who loved that movie. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it holds up.
The people who like it love it. And then everybody else never saw it. So it's like.
I like Lindsay Lohan, Inspector Gadget. I had the Happy Meal toy and everything. In hindsight, the best thing about this movie was probably the Happy Meal toy.
Wait, is that the Matthew Broderick one?
Yeah, I was going to say, which Inspector Gadget? We got an 80s, 90s era, and then we got a remake era. So probably the remake. Hannah Ben-Hannah. Oh, she's been writing them for years. Brendan Fraser deserves an Oscar for George of the Jungle. I will not elaborate. That's what she said.
He finally got that Oscar all these years later.
Yeah,
it
was retroactively for his role in George of the Jungle. Not the whale.
Okay, Jake the Snake 90, he said, I assumed Hook was one of the greatest films ever made. Then I found out some people think it's mid. And he said, and those people are dead to me, kind of like that guy BJ. But I never got grabbed by Hook either. I mean, I've seen it. I didn't love it.
I loved it. I think I was the perfect age for it. What year was it?
Like 93, 92.
But it's one of those ones that it's almost like Goonies and others where it's like, no matter, even if you're 10 years later, somebody in your life, your older cousin or somebody was like, oh, you got to watch Hook. And you put it on and it's just like, okay, just like Goonies, it doesn't really hold up. I'm sorry.
Okay. And I think it's because the only thing I really remember about it is, and the thing that I thought was cool as a kid was the Lost Boys, like Rufio and the skateboarding and like the island or whatever.
Skateboarding.
I'm sure if I rewatch it, I'd be like, that was a very small part of this movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that part was so cool that in my kid mind, it just overwhelmed everything else,
Can we go back to you saying that The Goonies isn't great? Because that's one of my favorite movies.
When was the last time you saw it? Fourth grade?
I probably saw it in fourth grade. I probably saw it like 2 or 3 years ago. It's like a comfort movie for me.
Really?
Yeah. Which is funny because I was -10 when it came out.
So I'll speak my truth. I never saw it in the theaters as a kid, right? I never saw Goonies. I never saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So there's some movies that just missed me. And, but everybody holds Goonies up on this like pedestal. And so as an adult, I watched Goonies. And knowing it's a kid's retro movie, fine. I had the right framework for it, but I just didn't like it. I just was like, it just didn't do it for me. So because it grabs you as a kid, fun. You still love it.
You don't like joy and adventure, and
me and Andrew Gold liked it, air quotes, just fine, air quotes, but it wasn't great, air quotes.
It's just not loved by critics who professionally measure the quote quality of movies. That's all I'm saying. I mean, no condescension.
No condescension. Yeah. All right. Well, there's a lot more where that came from. Go check it out. It gave me a couple of movies I want to now watch this weekend. Okay, it's time for this week's
editorial question of the week.
Okay, well, earlier we were talking about Emily's traumatic fourth grade experiences with Buffalo's, CC's Pizza. I could list 50 other things that happened to her in her fourth grade, but this question of the week, we want to ask you about field trips. We want to know your best or worst field trip story that it's burned in your brain, core memory, field trip memory. Hit us up on X at Relevant Podcast, and we'll read our favorites on next week's show.
I grew up in an area that has a lot of colonial era history, and so there were many field trips to colonial landmarks where reenactors are. Ironically, this story took place at an old house from the colonial era that still stands. It's in my neighborhood now. Like I run by this house all the time. They have reenactors out there and stuff. Went on a field trip there in 6th grade. They had a guy who he had a musket, okay, and he was speaking in like a dialect of the time, and I was the worst in 6th grade. I mean, me and my friends, I was just horrible. Okay, there was something
the Jim of 6th grade.
Yeah, and we were just pestering the guy the whole time, right, and just asking the most ridiculous questions. And I remember someone's he wanted a real question, and someone's like, "Fine, that musket loaded." And he's like, so, and you could, he was already seething because we're so disruptive and mean. Okay. And he's like, so, Centurion always has his musket loaded. And then he does this long demonstration of how it worked. And he put the little long Q-tip thing in to pump it down or whatever. And then he went through and showed how it fired. And obviously when he pulled the trigger, nothing happened. I remember my friend stood up and goes, "I thought it was always loaded." He kicked us out right then. Like, that was a bridge too far. Like, we ruined the reality of it. I remember we just walked to the gift shop, got some rock candy, and that was it. The tour was over for us. Like, he ended it right there. He was so disrespected. I still remember that.
Well, as you should, man. Yeah. He was passionate about it. This is his job, and you're mocking him.
You know, I frequently ride my bike or run by there, and I see those reenactors out there, and I think about it. Every time time goes by, I don't think about it.
Do you stop and like encourage them now as an adult to make atonement for your sins as a child?
It's actually the opposite. My wife got in trouble there because her friends, they did like a colonial ghost tour in the house, and they had reenactors walk you through and tell like the family history of the house, right? Yeah. And they go up to one of the bedrooms and one of the family members died on this bed, you know, and it's a ghost tour. So they're like, and as the lady's doing it, like one of my wife's friends is like looking, you know, kind of reverently down. And Dana thought it'd be funny to push her over onto the bed where the ghost was. The reenactor didn't like that either.
Was this a wine tour as well? I'm guessing
that was involved, and Dana thought it was hilarious. The reenactor did not. So we don't have a great reputation in
this town.
You two are the Jim and Pam of your neighborhood.
I'm sorry. Well, I could not help myself. I can't take things like that seriously, and neither can Dana.
You found your person. All right. Well, hit us up. Tell us your story. Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Jonathan Pokluda for joining us today. Make sure to check out his book, Your Story Has a Villain. It's available now. Also, make sure to check out issue 116 of Relevant. Nate Bargatze's on the cover, and if you saw SNL 50, you know this is the year of Nate Bargatze. Read that feature, plus you can read about Connor Price, Gallant, Jackie Hill Perry, Aiden King, some amazing conversations and think pieces in the issue, and it's all available for free. Just click on the magazine tab over at relevantmagazine.com. And if you want the beautifully designed digital magazine experience, you can get it with Relevant Plus. You get the magazine, you get ad-free unlimited viewing at the website, and you get this podcast ad-free as well. You can find out all the info and sign up right there at relevantmagazine.com. Okay, on that note, we'll wrap it. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
We'll see you on Friday. Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
Big square on Mars, guys. That's pretty cool.
Relevant Podcast Network.